Welcome to this week's message from Anthem Church. We're so glad you're joining us online today. Our prayer is that this message encourages you, strengthens your faith, and helps you take your next step in following Jesus.
Yeah, who loves ice cream? Who loves biltong? Wow, okay, we're not do we not love many things here? What else? All of you that haven't raised your hand, give me something. Who loves chocolate? Okay, that's getting a slightly better response. Who loves coffee? Who loves their pet? You that have children, who loves your children? Who loves your wife? Who loves your husband? Who loves your wife in the same way that you love ice cream and chocolate and biltong? I am on a roll. But I tricked some of you, because if you love your wife the same way you love chocolate, you got a bit of a problem. There's different types of love, is the point of all of that. Today we live in a world that is more connected than it's ever been, and yet I have said many times from this pulpit, because of the research and the statistics, that humanity has never been as lonely. We've never been more connected, and we've never been more lonely. We have followers, but no friends. We have likes, but we've got very few loves. Today I want to talk to us about an aspect of love that I don't think is just something that's a nice add-on to our lives, to enrich our lives, but I think is a gospel imperative. It's actually about being obedient to the way of Christ. And I'm going to take us on a journey around this particular type of love. John kicked us off last week, and I thought it was absolutely profound. I wasn't able to be here on Sunday. I would have loved to have been in the room, but I watched it online, as all of you can that weren't in the room. And there were some very profound statements as he spoke about this terminology of love, or this kind of love known in Greek literature as agape, or the word agape, and how the Father, our Father in heaven, our God, has this agape love, this all-encompassing love for all of humanity that we are instructed to have towards all of humanity. And John just said a couple of statements that were so profound, and there's one in particular that's really gripped me, but just a couple of statements that we need to love across the divide, but be assured that there is a divide. We cannot be a Christian and think there is no divide over the way, the truth, and the life, and the way to God. Then this statement, I was listening to this message while I was busy running on a treadmill, and I nearly fell off the treadmill just when I heard it. When John spoke about agape love and the example that Paul, the Apostle Paul, who's written about in the Scriptures and has written many of the Scriptures, his just prior to salvation work was martyring Christians, was killing Christians. And then the Scriptures talk about how those that have gone before celebrate and cheer when every life is given to Christ. And John's the image that John portrayed was those that had been killed by Saul were busy cheering when he got saved. That is a very profound thought. Very profound thought. Do we agape love those that have tried to kill us, hurt us, etc.? Love does not equal, just because we love someone doesn't mean that we approve of all their behavior. Very profound. Then he said something which certainly hit me in the chest, and hopefully you. We love our reputations more than we love the salvation of others. Otherwise, we would invite them to church. Are we worried about what they think of us if we extend an invite? And then there can be no experience of God's love without repentance. This week we're going to be talking around this aspect of love, or this nature of love that is written in the Greek term called Phileo. Some of you may know of it. It doesn't really matter. But there is this aspect of love. The richness of the Greek language is that in the Bible, it gives different names or different words for different aspects of love, as opposed to us where we can say we love ice cream and we love our wife. That would be foolish of us to think that we mean the same thing. And so this word phileo is mentioned a couple of times. And today, this word phileo is described as friendship, but at its essence is this thing of affection and mutual bond. Affection and mutual bond. Today, phileo is largely disregarded by humanity because we don't need it for survival. We're going to get into 2 messages in the next 2 weeks about this term called eros, which is romantic love, and then storge, which is like family love. And both of those are required for our survival. Without eros, there will be no baby making. And without storge, there will be no nurturing. So we need eros and we need storge love for the survival of humanity. We do not need friendship. And yet C.S. Lewis would say this, that friendship is actually the highest of all the loves because it's the one of choice. Eros, I am drawn by my physical impulsions towards my wife, which lands in multiple children. Storge is this, I have this impulsion to raise my kids and want to be around them and ogle over them when they're little, and then when they don't sleep, keeps me from doing horrible things. But phileo is this term where I get to choose somebody. And so C.S. Lewis writes this, the reason that he thinks it's the highest love is it's because it's the love of angels. Because angels are not eros loving each other. Angels are not storge loving each other. They're phileo loving each other. This friendship and this mutual affection and brotherly bond or sisterly bond. And so this is not a lesser love that we talk about as though agape is at the top of the pile. No, they all have a part. Every one that we talk about has a part for the fullness of life that Jesus came to give us. I've come that you may have life and have it to the full. And so what the ancients used to revere, in fact, Aristotle put phileo love as the highest. When he talks about virtue, love being a virtue, he actually references phileo being a virtue. Not agape, eros, or storge, but phileo. So when Aristotle, the ancients talk about phileo love, this friendship bond, he puts that as a virtue. Today, we have so romanticized or sexualized love that phileo's kind of out in the corner. Today, we question when men hug each other or kiss each other on the cheek or say, I love you. It's like, are they following false passions? Or like we raise questions about that because the world has so distorted what love is. And so today I want to not only put phileo in its right place for us, but I also want to encourage us and instruct us that phileo is a gospel imperative, not an optional extra. And so if we are to say, Jesus, I'm following you. Jesus, I would choose to lay my career aside. Jesus, I want to follow after the follow after the people of Wellspring and demonstrate my life that I would not choose all of those things over following you in the gathering of the saints. If I want to choose you, Jesus, then phileo and friendship and mutual affection and all that means, which I'm going to get into, is absolutely foundational to the gospel, I believe. That's where we're going today. John chapter 15 says this, verse 15. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends. That word philos, friends. For all that I have heard from my Father, I've made known to you. So even Jesus is saying, I am not engaging you now only in agape love. I'm certainly not engaging you in eros or storge love. I'm engaging you as philos love. Out of the love I have for you, I call you friend. This is Jesus, the one that we follow, our master. John chapter 16, verse 27 says this, no, the Father himself loves Phileo you, because you have loved Phileo me and believed that I have come from God. So even this God with his all-encompassing agape love chooses not only to cover you in that love, but to say, I want you who have chosen my son, you're going to get to experience something that no one else will get to experience. You will get to experience my Phileo love. You will get to experience my affection. You will get to experience my friendship. How many of you can truly say that you're a friend of God's? This is what the scriptures teach us, that God's desire is. So Jesus moves from you're no longer a servant, but you're a friend, philos. God the Father says, it's not only agape, but those who have chosen my son, I love, I phileo, I friendship, I mutual affection for one another. I have this for you. The Father says that. This is too wonderful for us to know that we can experience a friendship with God in the way that we could possibly experience a friendship here on earth, but that very few do. Because again, it's not required for survival, but it is something of a gift that God gives to us to experience. And so what we're going to look at is 4 different ways, and these are not definitive. It's not like there are only 4 ways to express Phileo love. But these are just 4 that I've got faith to preach with us today, that I'm carrying them in my heart. And so this is something that can help set you on a journey of your own exploration of what Phileo love could look like in your own life for others. Is that all right? So number 1, we're going to go to a story of David and Jonathan. Now, David was going to be the king of Israel. He wasn't yet. But he was brought into Saul's army because he was an incredible warrior. And Jonathan was the king's son, was Saul's son. And Jonathan and David develop a relationship, and we're going to pick this up in 1 Samuel chapter 18, 1-5. As soon as he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David. Now again, in today's sexualized world view, people have used this to say they had a funny relationship. It's insane. It's crazy because of our world lens. Jonathan loved him as his own soul, and Saul took him that day and would not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was on him and gave the robe to David, and his armor, and even his sword, and his bow, and his belt. And David went out and was successful wherever Saul sent him, so that Saul set him over the men of war. And this was good in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. We just got to stop and think about this passage for a little bit. So Jonathan is the prince. Jonathan is the son of the king. And so his robe was unique. His sword was unique. And Jonathan says, I so choose you, David, that I'm taking my robe off and giving it to you. I'm taking my sword off. My position, my power, I give to you. I share with you. The reality is Jonathan, by taking his robe off and his sword off, doesn't stop making him the prince, doesn't stop making him the son of the king. So he was not fighting for his position. He still held the position, but he's saying to David, I will share it with you. Very important. So what's the key point that we take out of this text, which gives us a kind of a phrase for how we give expression to Phileo love? Key point, it's a friendship which says, what is mine is yours. What is mine is yours. How many people are in your life that you get to say that to? And not just say, act. What is mine is yours. We had an experience the other day. Forgive the... Oh, you'll get it. Jed, our eldest son, went out with a couple of his mates, and one of his mates didn't have his ID on him, and so wasn't able to get into the club they were looking to go to. I do know that the headmaster's here, and I know that he is at school, but he is 18, and so sometimes the 18-year-olds want to go to a club. And so the mate couldn't get in. And I loved Jed's response was, okay, well then we're not going. We're going to go and find something else to do. That is Phileo love. That is saying, the options in that moment were like, okay, bad luck for you, we're going in, we'll see you tomorrow. Or, if you can't get in, we can't get in. The difference between the two responses. And so I know that's a bit of a silly little example, but I think practically it gives essence to that. Like, no, we are so connected to one another. We choose one another that if you're not able to experience it, then I don't want to experience it. Or if I'm able to experience it, I want you to experience it with me. So what does this demand of us today? Well, we see a very simple explanation in Acts chapter 2, this birthing of the church. We must never underestimate in the scriptures this thing called primacy, or this thing of the law of the first mention. And so the time the church is first mentioned, in Acts chapter 2, it says this: they sold their possessions, and gave to anybody in that community as had need. So when the Spirit of God comes, saves 3,000, the observation of their behavior is that they got together around the apostles' teaching, they got together for breaking of bread, they got together for prayer, and they were able to sell their possessions. They didn't consider their possessions their own, that they were willing to allow someone else to go without while they had. That is very profound in today's very individualistic world. And so when the church has been called out, according to Titus, that we can turn the world upside down by just living living something that's so contrary to the world, it demands of us that this Phileo love demands of us, okay, well, what are we holding on to when somebody else has lack within our community? And so I'm going to go somewhere which may cause a little bit of pain. I'm not looking to cause pain, but I think the Spirit of God needs to get hold of us to shape us as a family. And so how does this practically hit the ground? Well, how many of us have multi-rooms in our home, and one of them is an extra room, when in this community we have people that are sharing rooms, 2, 3, 4 in a room, in order to make ends meet? What does that look like? How many of us have 3 cars at home, but only 2 drivers in the house, when we have people walking great distances to even just get here on a Sunday? I know this can be hard, friends, but at some point we've got to allow the gospel to get hold of us and shape us in a way that the church was birthed to be, that we would live so counter the culture, that we wouldn't just be an echo of it, but that we would be an echo of the kingdom of God, that we would be those that would represent God's love, that He did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but He emptied Himself and He came to save us. And He didn't just call us servant, but He called us friend. And Jonathan as a model of the king's son. Here we are as God's sons and daughters. I do not have to hold on to things. My position is not going to change, and therefore I get to share everything with you. Application, open homes, share resources, care for needs. Secondly, I'll move on. We see a story about Jesus and Lazarus. John chapter 11, verses 3, 7, 8, and 11. Okay, so I'm just picking out, there's a lot of writing in there, and I just wanted to kind of pick out the thread of how this story goes. So read it with me. So the sisters sent to him, to Jesus, saying, Lord, he whom you love is ill. This is talking about Lazarus, their brother, Mary and Martha's brother. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let us go to Judea again. But the disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews were just now seeking to stone you, and you want to go there again? Jesus spoke to them, and after saying these things, he said to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. I need to go to awaken him. And so the essence of this message is that Jesus, that this story, in terms of the context of Phileo love, is that Jesus' behavior there, he's prepared to go back to Judea, even when his friends, his disciples are saying, that's where they tried to kill you. Jesus says, my friend is dead. I need to go and awaken him. I'm not going to be put off by some people that might try to stone me en route. And so the essence of Phileo love, the expression of it is not just companionship. The key point is this. It is a friendship which says, I will go through hard things for you. I will go through hard things for you. That's what Phileo love says. I recently had this experience. In 2022, there was some really demonic activity happening amongst some people that in the board of a nonprofit that we were leading. And the elders were prepared to go through unjust, false accusation, betrayal. The elders as a team went through all of that for my sake. They phileoed me in that moment, that time. They went through hard things for me. They didn't bail out. They didn't choose the easy road. They didn't say, you go through it, Rich, and we hope we'll see you on the other side. They went through the hard things themselves so that we could still be here and minister to you. That is Phileo love. During World War II, two brothers enlisted in the army, and they were in different units but fought in the same battle. And one night the younger brother was injured and trapped in no man's land. And the commander said, he's as good as dead, it's not worth risking your life. The older brother went away and carried his brother back and got wounded himself. And the commander shouted, I told you it wasn't worth it. And he replied, you're wrong. When I reached him, he said, I knew you'd come. I knew you'd come. And so this Phileo love says, I'll go through hard things for you. It's not friendship that's convenient, friends. It's friendship that is committed. It's not convenient, it's committed. It means showing up. It means showing up. And I know so often in today's day and age, how many of us experience, we want to put something on and all of our friends, they wait till the last minute to RSVP. Because maybe something better is going to come up. Because we lack loyalty. We lack Phileo love. We lack this choice, I'm going to bond myself to you in such a way that we get to experience the fullness of life, not just survival life of Eros and Storge. Third, we read a story of Ruth and Naomi. And there's this... for those that don't know the story, it's such a beautiful story. It's one of the most profound stories for me in the scriptures. Naomi leaves Israel with her two sons because there's a famine there, goes off to another land, marries off her two sons to foreigners. The two sons die, her husband dies. Now she's on her own with these two daughters-in-law, and she feels like it's best for her to go back to her people, Israel. And Ruth is one of the daughters-in-law and wants to go back with her. And Naomi says, no, stay here. This is where your family is. And she goes, no, I've bonded myself to you. I married your son. I've chosen you. And we're going to pick up the story in Ruth chapter 1, 15 to 18. Look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her. But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. Let's just take a moment and reflect on this for a little bit. Where you die, I will die. So the expectation is Ruth is a younger woman, a generation younger, having married Naomi's son. So it would be expected that Naomi would die first. And Ruth is saying this: where you die, I will also die. That's not saying we're going to die simultaneously. What it's saying is, I will commit myself to you even beyond your death. Even beyond your death, I will not go back to my former people because I Phileo love you, Naomi. There is this mutual affection, and I've given myself to you. That's very profound. Very, very profound. Two stories which had slightly different expressions, but it was around, or two people, same story, two people. Ryan and John. We had a traumatic moment with our daughter. I know we've spoken about that ad nauseum, but there were so many things that came out of that. Ryan is a business owner. He's a business owner. And for 17 straight days, he sat with me in the hospital, neglecting his business, handing his business over. In that moment, he Phileo loved me. He chose to be with me. John wanted to do the same, but John can do what Ryan can't do. My responsibilities here in the church, I was not able to fulfill at that time. And so the way John could Phileo me was, instead of sitting by me for 17 days, which I know his heart would have been, it was, can you love the people on my behalf? And can you make sure that you preach every message? Can you make sure that you take every phone call? Can you go over and beyond in that? And that was the expression of Phileo love that John was able to give. And so I had the benefit of Phileo love in this moment. So what does it mean? It says this: a friendship which says, I will go through your hard things with you. Similar to the previous one, but different. The previous one was, I will go through hard things for you. This one is, I will go through your hard things with you. Different. Jesus not afraid of going through the hard thing of possibly being stoned in Judea for his friend Lazarus. John and Ryan standing with me, going through the hard things with me, and doing all that they can to Phileo love me in their expression. In 2015, some of you may remember this, there was a terrorist attack in a Kenyan university. And a Christian student named Vivian hid with her Muslim friend Amina. And when the gunmen came, they asked who the Christians were, because they were martyring the Christians. Amina laid across Vivian. So Amina was the Muslim student. Amina laid across Vivian and whispered, if they take you, they take me. The gunman asked, why would you die for her? And Amina answered, because she would do the same for me. True story. Phileo love. I will go through your hard things with you. Can you see why we don't necessarily, we're not living in this Phileo love? It's very deep and profound, and when we get there, it is something so beautiful, but few of us are prepared to get there. Because romanticism has made it about eros love, which is we are naked bodies, but Phileo is naked personalities. So real friendship isn't proven in comfort, it's proven in crisis. Lastly, story of Paul and Timothy. Paul is mentoring Timothy, a young leader in the church. And we pick this up in Acts chapter 16, 1-5. Paul came also to Derbe and to Lystra. A disciple was there named Timothy, the son of a Jewish woman who was a believer. But his father was a Greek. He was well spoken of by the brothers at Lystra and Iconium, and Paul wanted Timothy to accompany him. And he took him and circumcised him because of the Jews who were in those places, for they all knew that his father was a Greek. As they went on their way through the cities, they delivered to them for observance the decisions that had been reached by the apostles and elders who were in Jerusalem. And so the churches were strengthened in the faith, and they increased in numbers daily. Who picked up in that little extract of scripture what the Phileo love action was? Timothy's a grown man. And for the sake of the gospel, for the sake of a common purpose, Paul says, hey, Timothy, it would be really helpful if you... Who of you men are signing up for that kind of love? There's so many gems in the scriptures that cause us to stop and think deeply. So Timothy was saying, okay, Paul, we have a shared mission. And I love Jesus, and I love you, and I know that you love me, and you're not gonna ask, you want well of me. But if I don't do this because of my Greek heritage, I'm going to be an obstruction to the gospel, I'm going to be an obstruction to the shared mission. I will go through this for you. Philippians 2 just they go through that in Acts, and then there's the story that he's writing to the Philippians, and he's sending Timothy there, and Paul expresses confidence in Timothy, and he says this in 2:19-22. I hope in the Lord Jesus to send Timothy to you soon, for I have no one else like-minded who will genuinely care for your welfare. Yeah, I reckon there weren't too many Timothys signing up to go through that. And so Paul gets to say of him, I have no one else like him. No one else like him who will genuinely care for your welfare. Why? Because he had displayed a care for Paul's welfare. He had displayed a care for Paul's missionary intent. He had displayed care for Paul's call on his life. He had displayed care for the fact that Paul said, Timothy, I would like you to come with me, but it's going to require something from you. And for the gospel of Jesus, Timothy does it. And Paul says, I have no one like him. During the building of the Golden Gate Bridge, which is in San Francisco, that big red bridge, for those that are unfamiliar with it, construction, I think it's the largest bridge across a water, a freestanding, whatever, that doesn't go into the ocean bridge. During the building of the Golden Gate Bridge, construction was incredibly dangerous, and dozens died by falling through the cables, etc., while they were putting it up. Halfway through the construction, they installed a massive safety net, and production increased by 25%. Why? Because when people feel safe, they will risk more. And that's what a true friend does. He creates safety for purpose to flourish. And so Phileo love looks like a friendship which enjoys a shared purpose. It's not just companionship. It's not networking. It's someone which you are able to share affection with at a very profound level, not eros. But it is something where you'll go through hard things for that person. You'll go through hard things with that person. You will enjoy a shared purpose together. And you will say, what is mine is yours. This is what the Father means when he says, no, I love you because you have loved my Son. Shifts from agape to phileo. It says the Father will go through hard things for us. His reputation, his name, false accusation, all kinds of things. But he does it because he phileos us. He will go through hard things with us. He doesn't leave us. He's present in the midst of our mess, in the midst of our struggles, in the midst of our pressure. He's with us with mutual affection and edification in this gospel proclamation story, this purpose that He has given to us. And certainly He's a Father who has said, what is mine is yours. Ask, and you shall receive. Pray, let your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. This is what Phileo love looks like, friends, and I want to call us to having friends like that. Who are they? Do you have them? Can you trust God for them? Can you pursue people to have intentional relationships like that? And can you be that kind of person so that someone can find that in you?
Thank you for watching today's message. If you'd like to take your next step with us, get connected, or find out more about Anthem, visit our website or reach out through the Church Center app. We'd love to walk the journey with you.